Medieval India, page number 174. The Mughal advance towards the Deccan. It was logical to expect a Mughal advance towards the Deccan after the consolidation of the empire in North India. Although the Vindhyas divided the north and south, they were not an insurmountable barrier. Travelers, merchandise, pilgrims, and wandering saints had always passed between the north and the south, making the two culturally one. Though each had its own distinctive cultural features, the conquest of Deccan by the Tughlaqs and the improved communications between the north and the south had to be strengthening had led to a strengthening of the commercial and the cultural relations between the two. After the decline of the Delhi Sultanate, many Sufi saints and persons in search of employment had migrated to the court of the Bahmani rulers. Politically, also, the north and the south were not isolated. As we have seen, the rulers of Gujarat and Malwa in the west and Odisha in the east had been continually involved in politics of South India. Hence, after the conquest of Malwa and Gujarat in the 60s and the early 70s, the Mughal could hardly have kept themselves aloof from Deccan politics. In 1576, a Mughal army invaded Khandesh and expelled the rulers of Khandesh to submit. However, urgent matters called Akbar elsewhere. For 12 years between 1586 and 1598, Akbar lived at Lahore, watching the northwestern situation. In the interval, affairs in the Deccan deteriorated. The Deccan was a seething cauldron of politics. War between the various Deccani states was a frequent occurrence. The death of a ruler often led to a factional fights among the nobles, with each party trying to act as kingmaker. In this hostility between the Deccanis and the newcomers, Afakis and Gharibs found free play. Among the Deccanis too, the Habshis, Absinis or Africans and Afghans formed as separate groups. These groups and factions had little contact with the life and culture of the people in the region. The process of the assimilation of the Maratha into the military and political system of the Deccani states, which had started earlier, did not make much headway. The rulers and the nobles therefore commanded little loyalty from the people. The situation was worsened by the sectarian conflicts and controversies. Towards the beginning of the century, Shiism became the state religion of Iran under a new dynasty called the Safavid dynasty. Shiism had been a suppressed sect for a long time, and in the first flush of enthusiasm, the votaries of a new sect indulged in a good deal of persecution of their erstwhile opponents. As a result, members of many eminent families fled to India and sought shelter at the court of Akbar, who made no distinction between the Shias and the Sunnis. Some of the Deccani states, notably Golconda, adopted Shiism as a state religion. At the courts of Bijapur and Ahmednagar too, the Shiite party was strong, but was able to prevail only from time to time. This resulted in heightened party strife. Mahavadi, Mahdavi ideas had to spread widely in the Deccan. The Muslims believed that in every epoch a man from the family of the Prophet will make an appearance and will strengthen the religion and make justice triumph. Such a person was called Mahdi. Although many Mahdis had appeared in different countries at different times, the end of the first millennium of Islam, which was due towards the end of the 16th century, had raised expectations throughout the Islamic world. In India, one Sayyid Muhammad, who was born at Jaunpur in the first half of the 15th century, proclaimed himself to be Mahdi. Sayyid Muhammad traveled widely all over India and in the Islamic world and created great enthusiasm. He established his daras circles in different parts of the country, including the Deccan, where his ideas found a fertile soil. The orthodox elements were as bitterly opposed to Madhavism as to Shiaism, though there was no love lost between the two. It was in this context that Akbar had put forward the concept of Sulkul. He was afraid that the bitter sectarian rivalries prevailing in the Deccani states would spill over into the Mughal Empire. Akbar was also apprehensive of the growing power of the Portuguese. The Portuguese had been interfering in pilgrim traffic to Mecca, not sparing the royal ladies. In their territories, they were carrying on proselytizing activities which Akbar disliked. They were constantly trying to expand their positions on the mainland and had even tried to lay their hand on Surat, which was saved by the timely arrival of a Mughal commander. Akbar apparently felt that the coordination and pooling of the resources of the Deccani states under the Mughal supervision would check, if not eliminate, the Portuguese danger. These were some of the factors which impelled Akbar to involve himself in the Deccani affairs. Thank you everyone for tuning in. In the next part, we'll start with the conquest of Berar, Ahmednagar, and Khandesh on page number 175. All the best for exams. Do share and subscribe the channel and keep supporting us. Thank you everyone.